I find that several videos I've talked about war, and I guess since this is supposed to be about history, that is history, and you could kind of study from the very beginning of recorded history. It's usually centered around warfare, and part of that is because human beings are grasping and are constantly wanting what other people have and maybe other people want, and so forth. And that's why you have arguments and this and that and so forth. And we're an aggressive species. But throughout history, and I've talked about this a little bit before, you find that if the people who are not prepared for war are the ones who are on the receiving end, whether they like it or not. After World War I, the British and the French particularly bent over backwards trying to satisfy Adolf and company to prevent another World War I, which is very disastrous, and we're still feeling the effects of that. But by not, and I've mentioned it before, I'm reading The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich right now. And if you get a chance, you ought to read that. It's very long, but it's very informative. And it many times Adolf Hitler could have been stopped, and people just wouldn't take the stand to do it. There were Germans within the country of Germany who wanted to stop him and failed many times because they wouldn't make the move. And when you finally did, it was too late. And I think Churchill, when I think he was talking about Chamberlain, when he said something like, you had the choice between honor or dishonor, and you chose dishonor to avoid war, and you're still going to have war. So, sad to say, you have to be prepared for it. And after World War II, since 1946-47, the Western civilization has been going out of its way to keep war from happening. And of course, we've had multiple little wars, and we just left one, Afghanistan, but it ain't over. And the thing about war is, and I think I've said this before, is it ain't over till you beat the other side into submission and they ask you to stop. That's when it's over. If you go to a draw and you have a peace, or like in Korea, we've got an armistice. The war is never technically stopped. There's never been a peace treaty. Neither side has declared an end. And so that could flare up again at any moment. Right now you have a large country who has rediscovered itself after many hundreds of years of decline, and it's on the rise and wants to present or take over and have its view of the world as predominant, and we've been doing that for a long time. And again, you go back, Theodore Roosevelt, when the United States was not considered a major power and we were on the rise, he said something like, what was the big stick doctrine? It is speak softly and carry a big stick. So you always have to be prepared, whether you like it or not. And that's part of what a growing, advancing civilization does. It is prepared to stand up and knock the bejesus, out of the other side for trying to put them down. And you have to scare the other side. Otherwise, you're doing absolutely no good whatsoever. The whole 20 years in Afghanistan, we never really tried to scare, intimidate the other side. We were always trying to make them into us, which that ain't happening. but you can make them respect you. And that's been proven over and over again. So right now, the United States and Western Europe has been on a move to knock out the very source of the fighting spirit. You are not going to have a good, active, intimidating military doing what we're doing now. We've been rewarding incompetence and mediocrity. Our generals don't know how to win, and we promote them based on what they say in front of Congress or the newspapers or whatever, and they get these great pensions and all this respect. And just now, people are starting to notice that. It's been going on since before Vietnam. You know, we get rid of the good guys who know how to fight because they're scary. And then we keep promoting the button pushers. By button pushers, I mean the suck-ups. And so forth. I'm not saying they're not brave. I'm sure most of them have been in combat. I've never been there, so I can't speak to that. But competence is competence, whether it's in sports, business, education, the military, and we've been on a long move to get rid of competence. We have universities teaching nonsense. Harvard was the pinnacle of academic excellence. Now people are getting A's who probably should be getting C's. And I'm not going to go into all that right now. And it just goes down the line. A university professor at UCLA, which was once a very well thought of school, was let go because he wouldn't grade on the curve and give one group preferred grading as opposed to the other group. That's just stupid. You cannot reward mediocrity and incompetence, and we've been doing it to, quote, be fair to everybody, unquote. Well, being fair doesn't get you anywhere. And the people on the bottom, it just teaches them not to try. Everybody's afraid of failure. That's what life is about. If you're afraid of failure and then don't do anything, guess what? You're not going to ever do anything. And that is across the board. And we have knocked that by the wayside. We're rewarding mediocrity. Worse than that, we're rewarding failures. And we're making them feel good about being failures. And that is a recipe for nothing. You have a good day.